Hey Schrello, what do you think about AI in music? Hey Schrello, what do you think about strings being replaced in AI? Hey Schrello, what's my... No, okay, so you get the idea. I have gotten a lot of questions actually regarding AI in music. In this video, I will put down my opinions and feelings and thoughts about this whole thing once and for all. So quickly, typical YouTuber thing, I guess, if we haven't met before. My name is Schrello. I'm a cellist here in London, a string player here in London. So hopefully I can give you a unique insight in what this actually will mean for the future, like for me and other musicians. So in general, I'm pretty impressed with the technique, so to say. I think it's really cool. Of course, there's a lot of scary things with AI shaping our future and taking over, but I am in a pretty strong belief that it can be a really helpful tool if it's trained on legitimate data. So that's, I think, is the biggest issue ever. That's what I actually have a huge problem with in general with AI and models that are trained on content that are completely ripped without permission from the content creators. So I think that is actually, you know, in the positive light, this is kind of the negative feelings I am sort of vibing. Anyway, in general with music, I guess you've seen some of these sort of rips of other artists' voices being put into other songs, which I think is first, it's really like, it makes you stop scrolling on TikTok, obviously, like you've probably seen this on TikTok. It's a fascinating concept. In the beginning, I was like, well, I guess this is a little bit scary because this means that labels won't need artists anymore. And people are like, well, I mean, we already have all the great singers. Why not do our own mashups, and how labels will create their own AI personas and stuff. But the more time has passed, I, as many others, I think, have started to sense that a musician, an artist, it's a human. It's someone you want to listen to, hopefully someone you want to follow along their journey and stuff. And that's quite hard to do with an AI. Obviously, the AI then needs a pretty big team that, you know, supports this. But I am the personal belief now that you know, it's the human element that makes it interesting, of why you should sort of dedicate more time, money, effort, energy into someone that you like their content that they're making. I'm doing a huge side note. Let's get back to the music. So in that way of, you know, mushing around with voices, when someone else has asked me about AI and composition, I do see a future where AI is definitely trained on a certain type of music, on a certain type of chord progression. If you feed in, you know, if the label just feeds in, this is our pop list, and it feeds in millions of pop songs, that might be able to give the writers a start of writing something, I can imagine. You can see that as the tool, they get that kind of slate that they can start off from and then just kind of make their own. I can also see how, for example, you can ask an AI in like, make this more R&B, or make this more pop and stuff like that. Make this more classical. I don't really see how I mean, who knows, maybe in the future in like writing, maybe it would be able to figure that out. That would be pretty cool. Again, I think still the human element will always be the finishing touch in the end. But let's move on to the area I'm actually mostly involved with, which is string playing. Something else I've seen online, especially on Spotify, is these sort of ghost artists that are string quartets that I instantly hear that they are computer strings. They're not real strings. Somehow they still manage to squeeze themselves into big lists and get a lot of listens. And this kind of makes sense, I guess, if you are, you know, more a casual listener. This is just the radio on in the background, so you don't really mind what comes on. Obviously, my artistic heart gets a little hurt that, you know, these kind of computer sounding strings can take over like that in sort of doing covers on Spotify and other things like that. So like, do me a favor, by the way, if you find a computer string quartet online, before you dedicate more sort of love to it, go into their profile and see what it's all about. It's quite you can quite quickly determine if there's people behind it actually, like, you know, for humans or not. So yeah, do me that favor. But you know, as they say, today's AI is only as bad as it is today. It's only going to get better. So that, I think, is quite scary, how you can use music programs and just do simple programming like that. So us as musicians, we have to obviously step up even more in the human element, and also just you know, not only providing that sort of product, because that I can see being replaced. Obviously, when it comes to more detailed, more artful creation, it's really hard to copy a cello when it comes to sort of the auditory, I don't know if that's a word, but the audio signals, the feeling. To copy actually a feeling, like to even perform a feeling into an instrument, is hard enough. To copy that into a computer, which I think mostly speaks to all of you people that are watching my videos, but I see how that will take a really long time, if it ever comes, like to copy a proper soloist cello. But honestly, like, who knows? As you can tell, my opinions are quite neutral on this. I guess I only have the strongest feelings against people that are sort of faking it as a real string quartet while they're not. It's basically built to generate money. So that's where I sort of come in and feel like that sucks. Like, we need more original, positive content in this world that comes from humans, even if they use AI tools, but don't try to cheat the system in that way. So yeah, that's basically my rant. I hope it made some sort of sense for you where I stand in all of this. It's definitely a topic I could continue talking about, and you know, just continue ranting. So tell me if you want to hear more. I can come up with more things that I obviously can elaborate on more. But to give some sort of conclusion, I guess, would be positives: amazing tool in the right situations. If it comes to composition, you know, a good slate, or a start with something. When it comes to maybe defining, you know, changing something over to another genre, or maybe using, you know, maybe using string mats in the background of gigs. I can imagine that has already happened, by the way, for artists to save money, which I completely understand. It's really hard to sustain a really big ensemble when you're out on the road. And yeah, the negatives, I would say, is a lot of pirating, a lot of people taking content online, or a lot of AI models taking content online, and in my opinion, illegally have trained it on that to generate something of their own. I'm all for it as long as it's actually consented to be trained on. But as you know, with the latest AI, you know, shabacle with drawing paintings and stuff like that, that's quite obvious that it's taken people's work and used it without their permission. The other negative, I would say, again, is how people pose as something that they're not. For example, that string quartet on Spotify, I'm not going to name any names. It's quite obvious that they are like trying to, we're string quartet, blah blah blah, and then but when you listen in, or when I listen in, you hear it's computer generated, and just be upfront about it. Like, you know, that is, I guess, my sort of values in this. Whilst I hope that the world will support more people and individuals that try to provide something new and original. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If this was something you liked, of course leave a like. And why not join the Patreon? Patreon.com/SchrelloClassic. It is thanks to the patrons I'm actually able to sit here and talk to you guys more and more, and dedicate more time, money, effort, energy into the streams, the videos, the music, and all that good stuff. So if you've gotten value from what I create, why not consider joining the Patreon and get some behind the scenes content, exclusive posts, exclusive perks, where I tell all my patrons as well a little bit more in advance before I go live stream. All right. Awkward wave. Awkward wave. See you in the next video. Maybe next ranting video, something. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you all these patrons rolling by here as well. Really nice, man. See ya. Bye.